very thrilled to start this panel. I'm not an expert in sports. I'm not an expert in NFTs, but I'm very curious. I used to be a journalist, and I met Jordi some years ago in Spain. I'm from Madrid. He's from Barcelona. I used to be a fan of Real Madrid. Right now have changed to the Barcelona. And 3 years ago, we met with Jordi. He was just started his conversation with the club, leading all of the innovation and tech department. And that was the first time that I had the aha moment. I was like, blockchain, it really makes sense for the sport industry. I'm coming from the media industry. I was part of the co-founding team of Civil Media in New York City almost 10 years ago. We did this experiment on blockchain and journalism. We failed, but we learned a lot. But I have seen that the business models is not just for media, it's an intersection of many, many business. So we will start on this conversation because the spectators and sport are evolving so rapidly. Right now, we don't have a spectator just watching TV. They're engaged, they're participating, they are creating content, they're investors as well. And I'm going to start with Jordi, first of all. Sorry. First of all, we're going to start with introductions because we didn't introduce you. So Jordi, can you start with your introduction, and then we will follow with Jonathan and Stuart?
Okay, so let me say something.
No, close.
Sorry. Let me say something. FC Barcelona is quite a unique club because it belongs to... And then we'll do the introduction.
Yes, sorry.
I will connect with this.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just one sentence. There are elections because it belongs to the members, and this means that there are opportunities for people to join the club. So previously, I was university professor in quantum technologies and AI, so I was working, let's say, on quite scientific things. So I'm deep in technology. And then I presented the project to the club, and they said to me, you are in, and I'm working for FC. Super.
That was easy, right?
So yes, hello everybody. So I'm Jonathan. I'm the CEO, founder of Fantium. Before Fantium, so I've been in the tech ecosystem over the last 15 years. Started my first tech company straight after uni in 2012, so feels like a long time ago. Sold my company after 7 years, and then I was I spent 2 years on the investor side as an angel investor, investing into tech. Through investing, I got into crypto, and invested in a couple of sports crypto-related companies. And then after 2 years full-time of angel investing, I felt the urge to become a founder again. And 3 years ago, I started Fantium.
Hi, I'm Stuart Stott. I'm the CEO of Galactic. I've spent 20 years in the media business, and for the last 2 years, we've built an enterprise media prediction market platform.
Fantastic. So anyway, let's dive in and directly to sports, because as Jordi has mentioned it, Barcelona is very unique. It's a club that is owned by its members. They don't have a big owner. They don't have a big VC firm back in the club. Their member, which are 500 million fans around the world, they're part of this club. And this is a very unique because it resonates with the blockchain world, specifically with DAOs. So the Barcelona Football Club is like a big DAO at this moment. And Jordi, you guys are not communicating that well enough. I mean, it's such a big brand. It's one of the most well-known brands in the sport industry around the world. Everywhere you go, you will see someone wearing a Barcelona jersey. But no one knows that it's owned by its member. They're voting, they're deciding who is going to be running the club. They're deciding everything. That's why it's such a unique club. It's more than a club, but it's very complicated as well. So Jordi, can you share with us your lessons of running this big DAO?
We even kick out presidents, and we are proud of this. It's
a lot of drama as well.
Yeah, a lot of dramas. And our experience is that it's amazing that we are a kind of democratic club in this sense because there are elections. Even another thing that is interesting is that there is, you don't know this, but during elections or assemblies, We audit and trace everything with blockchain technologies. So we use blockchain technologies for many things internally in the club. But then having elections, having candidates, all these things, it means that it's quite politic. And then the question of governance is a key question for the club. It means also that it's quite chaotic. It means also that we take decisions in short because the periods of presidency are typically 5 years. So no one thinks about mid and long term. But I think these are problems that are common also in blockchain technologies regarding governance and decision making.
We know that. We have seen that. So you should give us some advices to the Polkadot ecosystem as well on how to run a big DAO. Anyway, we have to learn. But within a DAO, you need to experiment and you need to bring technology because right now, since everything is evolving super rapidly, I know that Jonathan, it's been working already with the tennis sport and you guys have launched NFTs. So the members of certain communities, they're entitled to belong to something as well. The belonging, it's something that is shifting in sport as well.
Yes, so with Fantium, we have started a sports asset tokenization platform. So it's an investment platform for tokenized sports assets. And what it does, it basically, we're using NFTs, but we're using just NFTs as a token standard. So it's not the traditional NFTs you are probably used to, where it's more about the collectibles or maybe the IP, which is brought on chain. So for us, it's more a token standard, which enables tokenizing real-world assets. And this obviously, tokenization will play an important role in the sports world. First of all, because there's a high financial pressure across many sports for many reasons. But then there are also many illiquid assets which can be just in a very complicated way made investable for financing. So there, tokenization plays an important role to unlock that liquidity for these sports asset holders. And in sports, you have obviously more than 5 billion of sports fans with access to smartphones, which can turn also to be an investor. And that's why tokenization will play an important role. We launched a platform for tennis players. That was kind of our go-to-market approach because also in tennis you have this financial need of like upcoming tennis players. Some of the best junior players like Carlos Alcaraz, they all had this like financial need in the beginning. And with Fantium, they can make their future prize money earnings investable in a tokenized way. So they can issue NFTs, which are then connected to a share of their future prize money. And then as an investor or tennis fan, you can buy these NFTs and you can participate also in their financial success and obviously be connected to them, get invited to tennis tournaments, etc. So for us, like what we really believe in is that ownership drives engagement, right? So having like a financial upside in something you are passionate about is the ultimate driver of fan engagement. So that's on the one side, but then it also solves this like financial need in many sports such as tennis, but then also obviously football is a very attractive market we are now expanding to. And yeah, we want to be the platform where you go to when you want to invest in your passion.
Yeah, but in football, not all of the fan tokens, they've been working so well. And Jordi knows about that. We have seen some specific projects, but they were very early. And right now, included every club, they wanted to be the owner of that token as well, because they have all of the assets on that token. So I will assume that tennis players as well, they would love to own their own token as well in order to bring engagement through their fans. But anyway, and Stuart, you are the one who is combining media and the sport industry, which I'm very passionate about the media industry. I know that you guys, you are right. You just mentioned it in your previous panel that the media industry, it's been struggling for many years because it's been relying on ads and memberships, subscriptions. And that is unsustainable in this rapidly evolving world. So right now you're bringing something new, which is prediction markets.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of different points here. So firstly, sports media rights holders are now at a very interesting intersection with Web3. We've seen some amazing commercial deals happen between the big football clubs and big soccer clubs and Web3 companies. But I think there's still challenges. In terms of driving value for partners, it's been a real challenge for the clubs to understand, I would imagine, how the metrics that are required for blockchains and for Web3 companies. And we've seen big deals from the likes of Manchester United and Tezos and various others. And these deals don't seem to last. And the reason they don't seem to last is because at that stage, there was no technology available in order to drive those interactions. What we feel we have with prediction markets is a really easy way that fans will understand and that both the Web3 companies and the sports rights holders can both benefit from the data that we generate. So this is something that seems that it's already been around for fans. It's easy for them to understand, but it's also easy for the clubs and sports rights holders to integrate to their platforms.
I have many other questions around that because I know the media industry is very complicated. And right now, one of the things that they know that they have to be the owner of their IP. That's the biggest asset that any media company will have this, right now. But anyway, that is a bigger conversation. But since we are talking about sports and how this evolution, it is evolving beyond the screen and beyond the stadium included. It's right now it's a hybrid between video games as well, because I know that Barca, they already been experimenting. But one of the things that I really like a lot is that we have seen a lot of female teams right now. And Barca has one of the biggest female teams in the world. Not because Jordi is here, that is factual. And this regards, and a lot of these players are very much engaged with their audiences through social media, through even some NFTs as well. Some of the Barca former players, they've been launching their own NFTs. So Jordi, can you tell us a little bit and educate us on all of the new projects that you've been driving in AI, NFTs, and the female teams as well, because this is something pretty big. One thing that I have to say, he didn't mention it, he's one of the biggest experts in Catalonia on AI and quantum physics. So he's entitled to speak about technology on AI and quantum.
But I like more to talk about sports and football and soccer and women in soccer. So you know that we were defeated by Inter de Milan a couple of days ago. But don't worry about this.
We're talking about positive news.
I will connect it with the following. We are super happy that in a couple of weeks, our women first team will play the European Champions Final. And we are proud of this. So it's not only about football and men, it's about many sports, because we have 5 professional sports and 8 amateur sports. We even have a woman that is called, that is the world record of triple jump and is the gold medal in Tokyo. So we have a lot of women in sports in the club. So with this, what I want to say that for us, this is super important for 2 reasons. We are more than a club, we have a responsibility, but also because we think that it's a market that is going to grow and is going to be super important. In this AI revolution that we are living, there are 2 things that are human. One is entertainment, another thing is health. And entertainment means sports, means games, and this is going to grow a lot. And there is women in sports growing every single year 30% in the market. And we think as a Barca that we have the best women team by far in the world. We have 2 players, Aitana and Alexia, the best players in the world. And we have the responsibility to use them as a flagship, as a role model for girls. This is super important. And in terms of blockchain technologies, for instance, we did 2 masterpieces, 2 single NFTs. One was devoted to Johan Cruyff, which is a reference for us. The second one, Alexia Putellas, a woman. And we did this with purpose. We have had many good players, Maradona, Messi, Ronaldinho, but women are important, and we are supporting this.
That is very important. What about you, Jonathan? And I know that, obviously you just started with the platform and you're bringing all of this through partnerships, I will say. And what's your experience evolving with this technology and the female tennis players as well?
Yes, I think that, in tennis, obviously the platform is live, right? So we launched it more than 2 years ago. So we have today more than 30 tennis players live. Some of the best junior players. They raised $1 million in financing. So it feels still early, but the financing need is definitely real, both for men tennis players, but then also female tennis players. So for female tennis players, actually from an investment point of view, it's even maybe more attractive, because women tennis players, they tend to also break out. So they develop fast much quicker than a male tennis player. So as a 16 or 17-year-old female tennis player, you can already play Grand Slams. So this is not possible on the men's side, where it's much more competitive, and you don't have these like breakouts happening so early. So it's exciting. So we launched with the first tennis player from Ukraine, who back then raised 25,000 in return for a couple of percentages of our prize money. But we also see like a big use case of women teams for Fantium in the football world, right? As Jordi mentioned, women teams, they're growing significantly. I think they are obviously one of the fastest growing kind of sports asset categories in the football space. And I think the big challenge for women teams is still the engagement. So building up the audience, basically following the teams and following the matches. And I think they are providing like financial participation also for sports fans, to benefit from that growing asset class, is one of the solutions to fix also the engagement side of that asset class, because ultimately only the engagement can drive the media revenues and can drive the money flowing in, the capital markets flowing in. And so basically offering financial participation as a driver for fan engagement will be one of the solutions probably to really make this women team side of the football industry work.
So that is no brainer that we need to pay attention to what is happening in the female sports as well, because we are the largest number in population around the world. So I think that we will have to have more roles included. I won't say the Catholic Church right now, as we speak. They're voting for the next Pope. Hopefully they're going to be evolving. Yes, Christoph? Okay, so Christoph is running for a Pope. But on prediction markets, and this is something that we have seen for many years, that men's are the ones who are eager to bet and sports, especially in sports. Have you seen any of, you already have started with this project with Sports Illustrated. And I know that this is still in the running phase, but you have seen some numbers and some data coming out of that project. What you can share with us as far as you can see or share?
I think there's two sides to the data. So the first piece is from the brands themselves and the publishers. So we're seeing increased numbers in terms of the following of women's sport in general. So what we can see is from the back end of the publisher sites is what articles are generating the most views. And we can see a growth across most sports in terms of female news and the information that people are following being more pushed towards female sports. Still male dominated, but we're seeing that growth in the sector. Likewise, in prediction markets, it's still primarily a male dominated audience. However, we are starting to see these shifts. But I think the most important thing for the health of the sports industry is this diversity. And I think investment into women's sports is going to continue to help the industry grow, but most importantly, inspire that next generation of athletes and audiences to participate.
So, okay, I'm in. I know that we are running out of time. I think it's just 30 minutes, but I just wanted to have something like Jordi can share with us, because they've been trying to they didn't try. They've been experimented with blockchains and NFTs on fan tokens at the club. And I know that this is still in the experimentation phase, but right now you're building something very real, which is on the video games. And I don't know if it's too early to share, because I know that you're going to be launching this project next week. But if you can give us a little bit of a bite of what are we expecting to see next week?
Yeah. Yes, next week and from next week to, let's say, to summer, we'll launch a couple of big projects. But first of all, technology is important, but for the users, it's about gamification and enjoying emotions and digital experiences, etc. So the tech part is important for us, but for the user, it's not so important. So the project that we'll launch next week has to do with digital collectibles. So it's going to be a huge project of, let's say, with the Barca history, digital album. I think that if you want, you can talk with the director of operations of Barca Vision, the company from FC Barcelona devoted to this, that is Ana Soler, that she will be here later on. And interoperability is super important for us. We'll have projects on blockchain technologies because we as a club, we don't know where the market is going to be. So we don't know where the market is going to be in a particular blockchain, in another one, etc. And we want to work where the users are. So this means that interoperability is much more important even than if the blockchain that we choose is the best one. If no one is there, no sense. And what's important also is that we as a club, I want to say something, many tech companies approach us thinking that we are a client of technology. And we think that we are just the opposite. We are providers of emotions. We are providers of content. We have an archive of 1 million images and videos. We are providers of funds to those tech projects that they want to be in the market. So to succeed, I think in many cases they need brands like we are. So we are ready.
Why don't you chime in?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you've got the right perspective. The clubs have so much power in terms of audience and following, and really those partnerships need to be synonymous. They need to make sure that what's been created for the fans is in the fans' best interest, because it's one of the only organisations in the world where this person's going to follow you forever. And it's that relationship between fans and the clubs is a very special relationship. So whatever technology you integrate really has to have that fan experience. It needs to be simple, but it needs to do what's in the best interest of the fan.
They're like an entertainment company at the end of the day, bringing emotions and content. That's why they have created the Barca Media, if I'm not mistaken. It's Barca Media. And they have a whole company bringing videos, content, video games, and fan engagement as well in many ways.
Just one thing, because the eSports professional team is also there, and in a few months we'll have our first female team in Valorant, and we are proud of this.
Congratulations. And Jonathan, I know that in tennis is a different dynamic than football. But still, football, you have personalized all of the 11 members of a team in sometimes big soccer players, like big stars. Like right now with Lamine Yamal in Barcelona, it used to be a bit messy, but Lamine Yamal is someone who is like getting all of the focus. But with tennis, it's just a single person getting all of this focus. How do you work on creating fan engagement with tokens or NFTs with just one person?
Yeah, so just because it's one person, I think the community around that person is even more important, right? Because it's a single player sport, and it can feel very lonely, especially if you're in the early stages of your career. So I think, creating this community of backers around these tennis players it's not only a financial instrument for them, like to access the funds they need to achieve their dreams, but it's also to have, let's say, if a player raises 100,000 in US dollars, they have 300 to 400 backers who believe in them and who support them on the way, and they can access these backers, and then they can also provide like other services and other benefits maybe on top of the money, right? So additional sponsorship opportunities whatsoever, and that's something like what we have been like experiencing, what works pretty well, and like what further drives also the success of the career of the tennis players. And like all the tennis players are obviously super happy because they have not only now the money they can kind of they need in order to pay for traveling, pay for the coaches, but they also know they have 300 to 400 very strong like backers and community behind them who support them on the way to the top. And that's why community building around these like financial participation like is one of and is another like very important benefit, obviously, next to the financial aspect.
Fantastic. I think that we are out of time, but Stuart, the media industry in the next few years, they don't have new ways to evolve beside AI. And right now, I'm part of WANIFRA, which is the World Publisher Association. And the main topic right now is AI, AI, AI. But with AI, it's hard to monetize. And that's the biggest issue. What's the solution that you're bringing to the sport companies with AI and monetization?
I think AI is slightly different. AI reduces cost by being more efficient, but doesn't really generate revenue. It can, but I don't see that being the kind of immediate use from the journalistic side. I think journalism in general needs that journalistic integrity. It needs real people doing real investigative work.
But when I'm speaking about media, it's included like Barca. They have a media company. Media is someone who creates content.
100%. But again, I think having real content generated and curated by people is a huge business in its own right. And I think there's going to be a lot of challenges for AI in terms of what's real and what's not. And I think this is where the blockchain can play an interesting part in deciphering what is real and what's not real. Because AI has now got to a stage where it's very difficult to tell real content from false content. And I think even going back to the publishers in the news sector, this is one thing that prediction markets have been quite good at, is that they take topics where people have seen a lot of news, whether it's on X or other platforms, that makes it look like this is what the people think. And then you look at the prediction markets and the results, and it's very different. So I think there's a challenge in the media industry as a whole on how we deal with AI, and I think that will be a continual challenge.
What can we see in the next few years coming out of the sport and technology? Just 2 seconds, each one of you.
So I guess a lot of technology without the user knowing that there is a lot of technology there. So about contents.
So for me, it's definitely, obviously, it's fan ownership. Yeah, so I think it's the third wave. Yeah, after professional institutional investors investing into sports, after also more and more athletes investing into sports to share financial upside. I think now the next stage will be enabled by blockchain as a technology enabler, will be fan ownership. So fans also participating not only emotionally, but also financially from the sports they love.
I think technology-driven fan engagement is going to play a massive part of the future.
Fantastic. So thank you very much. We have learned a lot. And if anyone wants to talk to Jordi and learn how to run a big DAO, he's happy to share some of the insights. Thank you.
Thank you.